Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to play, I'm a little bit late, with the March Uniquely Creative card making kit. So I'm just showing you here everything that's in it. This panel actually usually comes in like an A4 pack, and then you have the die that I already had it in my stash, that you can cut it all apart. So we've got some creative cuts, we've got lots of yummy little paper, little cut parts that you can easily trim up. Now I trimmed out the larger rectangles, but I didn't actually do too much. I didn't actually do anything with the smaller pack. Usually I trim that all out and I can cut it up, but we're not going to use that today. So there's lots of little flowers in these creative cuts, lots of little banners, lots of bunting there that you can see, lots of little tabs, quite a few little cute houses, which I will use one of those in one of the cards that we're going to play with today. At this point I didn't really know what I was doing. This is the inspirational pack. That I love that card there, and we're going to use some of that for an inspirational card. This little sheet of paper already has some embellishments printed on it, so we're going to use that and just enhance that out. We've got the little, what I'm putting the foam on, that's one of the little cutter parts, a lot of rectangular cutter parts. We're just putting that with foam. I'm going to play with this a little bit. I usually say once it's down, but I didn't actually push this down too much, and so I managed to get it apart, maybe because it's pretty pliable with the paper. I managed to pull it apart a little bit. Don't be scared to cut up your die cuts or your creative cuts, as Uniquely Creative call it. It's nice and easy. It's pretty simple. Now my camera is being a little bit of a jerk today, so I'm hoping that when I export this video and load it all up, it's going to be a little bit better than what I'm currently seeing, and that quite often happens. Now I'm going to trim off this die cut. I probably shouldn't, because I'm not going to use it. I didn't like it, and I'm just trying to figure out here what I'm going to play with and what I'm going to trim up. So pretty much most of my die cuts I actually cut up, but you know, that's fine. Why waste a pretty die cut when it's going to be hidden behind? So this one we're going to offset it a little bit. I am going to adjust that little die cut that I've just put on there, because he's going to be a little bit too high for our wording. So before the multi-matte medium dries up, we're going to move that around a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on him as well. This is all very, very low. What do they call it? It's low in dimension. It's not very high. The height is not very high. So that will work out really, really well. I've got other strips. I didn't want to use the strips because they are quite a fair bit higher, so they stand out a little bit more. Take all the backing off that. And there we go. We've got lots of little, there's some little cute little bows in a couple of different colors. We'll use one of those in another card today, and they've got lots of little flowers, so we're going to trim that up, just straighten that up a little bit, and there we go. Card number 1 is done. I actually come back to that and I put a little bling on it. So this is just some offcuts of the other piece that we trimmed up, the little rectangle that we had. We're going to raise him up with a little bit of foam, of course. I don't tend to use fun foam. Now it looks crooked, but as you can just see there, I have not put anything down. Excuse my voice. It's still waking up. Here I'm going to cut myself a little bit of a banner. I've trimmed off the bottom, so it's going to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to glue down the top half, but the bottom half is going to be raised up with a little bit of foam. It just gives it a little bit of interest, a little bit of dimension. Just figuring out which circle I'm going to use here. Now that glue has time to set, we're just going to raise it up a bit. There we go. And it's a very subtle thing. This is where I am going to use the whole, that's better, the whole die cut behind this. Raise it up again with a little bit of foam for some added dimension. This I'm going to trim off down the side so we can tuck it in behind this a little bit. Glue that down, and there we go. We're just going to fiddle with that a little bit just to make sure it is in the right little spot. And that's looking a bit cute. So I found a couple of leaves, trim out some little bits and pieces so we can add some more dimension to our card. Again, glue that down with a little bit of multi-matte medium. So yeah, don't be afraid to trim up your die cuts. Don't waste them. Trying to stick that down in that corner there. So this kit, I will leave a link down below to the kit. I can't quite remember if the kit is still available, but I will link over to all the individual elements so you can buy this kit was called Full Bloom. I've got a little bit of bling here. This is Chantilly. All these stuff you can buy separate as long as it's still available. And I will leave the links over on my blog, which the description box will have the link over to that, and you can check that out if you so wish. So we glue that down with just sort of normal craft tacky glue. I like it, has a little bit of wiggle room. And that is my card, my second card done. This is where I decided to go back and put a little bit bling on it. All my cards today have a little bit of bling. So there is plenty left over. So there's 2 cards that I've done. I've got one more that I'm going to do for you today. And there is plenty left over of the creative cuts. Even if you do the 6 cards, there's 6 cards. The 6 cards out of the inspirational sheet, you still have quite a few bits and pieces that you can play with, an extra. And you've got the 2 sheets there that have the cuddle parts that you can play with. And I might cut into one, and that's about it. So there's usually plenty left over. Just straighten that all up. So all these papers are out of this paper range. So they all go together pretty nicely. Some have a little bit of more muted greens. Some have a little bit brighter, so you can pick and choose on that. But they all go really nicely together. Again, we're trimming up some creative cuts. And this one, I totally put it in the wrong spot. And I'm like, you're an idiot. There we go. We'll fix that up. That's all right. We have the power. And I just wanted a little bit of extra, something behind my flower there. So we've offset that a little bit. That's where, did you see that bow before? That's where some of the greens, this green is a much more paler shade of green. And this card doesn't really have too much of that darker green that you can see. So it's a mix and match. I'm just going to figure out where I'm going to place everything. We've got a little bit of foam tape. We're going to go a little bit off center up to the top on our panel here, because I thought it was just something a little bit different and provided some interest. I've cut some little bit of foam strips just to support my bow because he's overhanging a little bit, and we've got some foam underneath our full bloom sentiment there. And just trim that up so we can't see it. Now I'm just going to play with my flowers. I think, as I said before, I think it's really only the one flower that I actually left to be a full, or one bunch that I left to be a full bunch of flowers, rather than trimming them down and piecing them here and there. But yeah, have a think about that. We've got some of this organza ribbon that was in the kit as well. It's included. I just thought it might be cute on the little bit of bow, and then to have a little flower on top. I thought about another bow over the top, but I thought this was much nicer. I'm just going to glue him down. Just going through my sentiments to see what else I can add. My sentiments, my creative cuts. I really like this bird, but it just wasn't talking to me. So we're not going to end up using him today. Just stick a little bit, a few more leaves and bits and pieces in there. If you don't have a pair of reverse tweezers, they are the best. It saves your hand from trying to grip hold of everything. So we're almost, as I'm fluffing about with this card and my creative die cuts, if you haven't already subscribed, I've had quite a few people join me in the recent weeks, and welcome. Hello. If you haven't subscribed, please have a think about hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell to be notified of whenever I upload videos. I generally do it on a Tuesday and a Saturday, but I do some work for TLC Designs. So sometimes, a couple of times a month, I will upload another video. It's usually around about a Wednesday, or for Australian time, it's trying to think. It's usually a Wednesday, very, very early Wednesday morning, I think, for Australian time. Or a Thursday morning. I can't remember. It does change around a little bit, but it's usually the beginning of the month and somewhere in the middle of the month, around about the 16th or something like that. So that is my card. That's my 3 cards. I really like that Home Sweet Home. I hope you're well. Take care. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.